lecturate Los Angeles 2024.
Oh, hi there. Welcome to Out on the Lanai, the only Golden Girls podcast you're ever going to need to listen to. I am HAlanScott / Sadie Pine.
I'm Kerri Doherty, and today we are having a chat with a fabulous group of ladies. This is not Sophia's Cloud Watching Society.
No.
Today we actually talked to the cast of Golden Girls, The Laughs Continue, which is a fabulous live touring stage show that gives us a peek into what an episode of the Golden Girls might look like in 2024. We had such a great conversation with these performers.
We did, yes. The title, The Laughs Continue, sounds like a Debbie Reynolds variety show. You know what I mean? It just
I'm
sounds
obsessed
like
with it.
It's so uniquely old lady-ish in that, like, old lady performer-ish. You know what I mean? Being like, you've laughed before, I've laughed again, and I'm going to continue laughing. The Laughs Continue, starring Debbie Reynolds. Like it just feels like a setup for a line that an old female performer would say, and then start tap dancing.
I love it. I love it. And there's like an old man smoking in the back of the theater that's like,
yes, but they are fun. We had such a fun chat with them.
So much fun. And
we should say that people need to watch this one. I mean, yes, you can listen to it as well, but because there are 5 people in this chat, including not including the 2 of us. So this is one to watch the video for. And we're going to release it on YouTube the day this episode goes out, just so that everyone can go watch.
Yeah, it was such a great chat. It was so fun seeing everyone sort of in their robes and their makeup. I decided I wanted to bring a little bit more of like a masculine energy to the video today. So I literally wore like a checkered flannel hat.
You are very well. I mean,
I look very lumberjacky.
4 of the 5 performers. So we chatted with, I mean, all 5 of them. You know, everyone who plays Dorothy, Blanche, Sophia, Rose, and then also the person who plays Stan /
Tommy, yeah.
Burt Reynolds.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go over their names real quick, just so that people can in advance know who's who?
Yes, Ryan plays Dorothy, Vince plays Blanche, Adam plays Rose, Christopher plays Sophia, and Tommy plays Burt and Stan.
The fact that you did that from memory so impresses me, because I could not do it, which is why I had you do it. I knew I would not be able to do it.
Well, you're also just terrible. You can't even quote your favorite episodes of the Golden Girls.
I can't. I'm terrible with these things.
As we learned last week when you said, like, Rose, thanks for whatever.
The NyQuil.
Yeah, I was like, what? This is a classic line. What is happening?
Listen, guys, it's my charm. It's my charm. I know people, there was another comment on a recent YouTube of the transplant episode where I confused liver and kidney.
I noticed it in the moment, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to make you feel bad.
Oh, you can always trust me. I will never feel bad. And I also own that I make these mistakes because it is just part of who I am. And I'm not going to be ashamed for it. Now, but I will say, Golden Girls fans, and I've learned this over the 10 years we've been doing this podcast, are vicious. And if you get a quote wrong or a fact wrong, they will come at you like you called their child a little brat or something. Like I spit in their kid's face or something. And part of me, and I have always responded being like, oh, well. Like I'm sort of like Blanche in that, and I just like.
What are you going to do? Are you not going to do the podcast anymore?
Yeah. Are you just going to stop listening? Yeah. I mean, I'm not. I mean, don't stop listening, but I mean, you can if you need to.
I mean,
there's plenty of options.
Speaking of listening, your voice sounds a lot better this week.
Thank you. Yes, I do feel much better. I have been taking care of myself, and yes, and you sound better as well.
I'm feeling better. I'm looking very different because we're actually recording during the day, so I'm not in my closet. I'm in front of a very big window.
I like this setup you have here. It's very much like...
I just can't do it at night.
It's like you're a casting director who's just sort of like, giving notes via a Zoom call or something. You got your hat on, you got your headphones on, the mic's on. Like, you're ready to cast this movie.
I'm ready. So next time you say that, just take a little beat and make sure you're angling yourself so that the camera's getting your eye line.
Oh, sure. No, this was such a fun chat. These 5 fellas are so fun. And we talk a lot about, which I find interesting. So like one of the things that there's a lot of that many of you know about are just drag Golden Girls shows. They exist all over the country in major cities, and great local drag talent. Some very well-known talent like Jackie Beat here in Los Angeles or Ginger Minge in Florida are doing Golden Girls shows, and people can go to them, and they're drag-related Golden Girls versions of episodes or takes on the Golden Girls or all these things. Whereas their production is uniquely female impersonation. It sort of like goes back to really the origins of modern theater and Shakespeare, and where male actors were playing female roles. And these 4 primary actors who play the girls, they are obviously men, but they're doing a female impersonation in the style of sort of, and we speak about this person a little bit in during our chat, but I just wanted to give some background before this person's brought up. Charles Busch. So Charles Busch is one of the most iconic playwrights in modern history. He has created shows that are just wild, that harken back to sort of 1950s, the beach blanket bingo film or whatever, and there's a murder one, and there's like all these different shows that Charles Busch has done, and he blends this sort of world of female impersonation on screen, and there is an element of drag to it as well, but it's not drag. Are you familiar with Charles Busch, Kerri?
Not really. But I know Barbara Bush, and my husband, his name is Bush.
No, Charles Busch
Sophia Bush.
Psycho Beach Party is one of Charles Busch's big plays. Die, Mommy, Die, which is fantastic.
Oh, that I know. That one I've heard of. Yes, yes.
And Charles Busch actually did my podcast, You're Making It Worse, a while ago now, when they were promoting something. And also, most recently, another example of sort of like theatrical female impersonation is Cole Escola. And they are doing a show right now on Broadway called Oh, Mary, which is very, very not so much at all based on Mary Todd Lincoln during the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And Cole likes to describe the show as sort of an alcoholic doing a cabaret show, and that's Mary Todd Lincoln. And I recently spoke with Cole for my podcast, which is that'll come out in, I think, June at some point. And Cole was just telling me how they intentionally did no research into Mary Todd Lincoln to sort of to do this part as Mary Todd Lincoln. And I found that, and that to me is sort of like the essence of also what kind of these 4 actors are doing as well, and that like female impersonation, it's less about getting it right, and it's more about your take on who this person is and what the script sort of defines this person to be, while also giving the feel of that person. You know what I mean? There's a dance there. It's a weird dance.
Yeah, I've watched. So if you go to their website, goldengirlstour.com, you can actually watch little snippets from the show. And it is really fun to see how each actor kind of like transforms into each of the women, and you sort of get like certain signature styles, but then like they're bringing a little bit of a new flair to it. And it's really, really fun. And I'm like, I want to see more. And I'm so bummed that they're not going to be, it sounds like back in LA for this sort of tour, but for anybody out there, like go check it out. I would also so just
love to see more sort of, gender fuckery in theater. You know what I mean? I think of Hedwig and the Angry Inch, which is like one of my favorite musicals of all time. And that show is just steeped in the idea of gender just sort of being like anybody can play anything. Yep. And it's the same. And you're seeing that more and more on Broadway too, where roles that typically only have right now on Broadway with Jinx Monsoon, in the oh God, help me. Oh God,
Little Shop.
Feed me. Thank you. Yeah, Little Shop. In Little Shop, where, you know, historically a person who, you know, is on the gender spectrum has not played that role, the lead female role in the show. And we're seeing more and more of that, which I love on Broadway. I love that. I mean, I would love to see it also to see women playing men, and which we haven't seen a lot of that. I want to see more and more of that as well. I want to see more gender fuckery in the male department with women. And I just want to see it all. I want to see a full spectrum of it, because that's the origin of theater. That's Shakespeare. That's where it all started, was that. And of course they did it because of, obviously, sexism, and women weren't allowed to do things. And yes, there is that basis, but
we've all seen Shakespeare in Love.
We know that's. Oh, that movie is actually not good, but it's good.
It's been a long time since I've seen it.
It should not have won Best Picture, though. It should not have. No. I bet Dorothy would have loved it, though.
Probably.
I feel like
she would have
been
talked
like,
to Miles about it.
Interesting.
And felt left out, and
then Blanche would have been like, "Well, why would you want to be a man? Oh, I would never want to be a man, man. Oh, I just don't like the clothes, you know." Yeah. And then Rose would give some sort of conversation about how she learned the differences in gender based on the bulls on the farm.
Yeah.
And Sophia, Sophia would just probably in the end be like, "You want to be a boy? You want to be a girl? Do whatever you want to do. Just leave me out of it."
Yeah. Yeah, I think that about sums it up.
I gave the script. Well, should we get into this chat?
Yes, I'm very excited for everybody to hear our conversation with the ladies.
I am too. This is so much fun. So yeah, if you can, like I said, if you can watch this episode, go to our YouTube. It's whatever it is, it's all linked on our stuff. And go to our YouTube. You can just look for Out on the Lanai, and you can watch this full episode. Like I said, we're going to release it the Wednesday this episode drops, which is uncommon for us because we want everyone to be able to watch this one. So go there. Well, we are so excited to be joined by this fabulous theater crew fully dedicated to the Golden Girls. Hello, all of you. So let's just go down the line, and if each of you could introduce yourselves and the characters you play so people can put names with the voices and stuff.
Yeah, hi, my name is Ryan Bernier, and I play Dorothy.
My name is Adam Graber. I play Rose.
My name is Vince Kelly, and I play Blanche.
My name is Christopher Cam, and I play Sophia.
And I'm Tommy Favorites, and I play Stan and Bert.
And I think, Kerri, that this might be the most people we've had on a podcast in a single recording. Do you think that, Kerri?
I mean, yeah, it 100% is. I just wonder how we're all going to find our underwear in the big pile at the end of the party.
I'm not wearing any. So.
My name is
Perfect.
I'll never wear underwear.
I kind of want to start things off with Vince and ask about just the origins of this show. I mean, there are so many Golden Girls drag shows. So how did this one get started?
This one got started kind of during the pandemic, actually. I was working with the producers on another show that we kind of ended right before COVID started. And then during COVID, we were kind of chatting, like, what is some way that we can print money? And Golden Girls was that property. Obviously, I like the Golden Girls as well, but it's just so marketable, as I'm sure you guys can relate to a little bit as well. So that's kind of what birthed it. And then we searched for some scripts. We looked through some pre-existing ones that we weren't really super impressed with. So then we just decided to develop our own. And then 2 years later, now we're here.
Wow. And that just to sort of piggyback on that a little bit, like what I think sets what y'all do apart, and I mean, I'm sure there are other Golden Girls drag shows out there that do this, but you create your own scripts and stories that relate, of course, with these anchor characters that we all know and love, but it's not necessarily like you're recreating episodes. This is an original script that you're working with, correct?
100%. Yeah, it's totally new. We like to say it's like what the girls will be doing in 2024 as if the show never went off the air. So that's kind of like, yeah, 100%. Not a tribute at all.
That's fantastic. Well, so like, I guess the first thing that we should probably go down is for each one of you to sort of like say, even though you play a certain Golden Girl, which one are you? Like, what Golden Girls? I mean, do you love? When you came to the show, did you come with a love of the Golden Girls?
100%. Yeah.
Down the line here.
I know. The answer is going to be so disappointing.
Well, let's start. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I identify the most as Dorothy, so it all works out very swimmingly for me. And I think, yeah, this is one of those shows that like my love of it was sort of like built through the women in my family. So like getting the chance to sort of bring that into this process has been an absolute present gift.
What about you, Adam?
Yeah, so I feel like I am Rose to a severe degree. I also grew up on a farm town. I'm from like the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. It's very isolating of like a place, which I think is very St. Olaf in spirit. But that being said, I just grew up with, first of all, Betty White. She was one of my favorite actors growing up. And I got to watch, it was always on TV Land, like all of it, cable television, which we used to have. And I really related with the characters that are, fun and loving. And that's how I love to live my life.
Yeah.
I just sort of fell into this role pretty naturally.
Oh, I love that. What about you, Vince? Are you a Blanche at heart?
I think I used to be a bit of a Blanche in my youth.
Used to be.
Now I've settled down. I've been with my partner for like 13 years, so my Blanche days are behind me. But
Blanche is married.
I know. But I think for me, my love of Blanche is like how overdramatic she is. I can relate to that very well. I think everyone on the bench will agree. And I love clothes. And Blanche gets some fun costumes, and she gets to dance around in heels, which I like to do as well. So yeah.
What about Christopher? Are you Sophia at heart?
100%. Yes, it's a little bit of, it's a lot of Estelle and Sophia that I play up on stage. I also grew up watching I Love Lucy, Mama's Family. So it's a little bit of Vicki Lawrence. There's a little bit of all of it, a little bit of my own Italian grandmother. And as far as Golden Girls go, I mean, I was at Golden Con the first year. I saw you. Kerri, I missed you. But that's that love of the show. And it rang true. And that's what we kind of feel in our show too.
Yeah.
The audience is the way that you feel at that type of convention. But yeah.
What about, okay, so Tommy, having Stan as your Golden Girl, if you will, I mean, I do think he is the fifth Golden Girl. I've always kind of said that. So like, do you relate to Stan, and do you want to openly admit to that? Yeah.
Never, not ever. No, never public. No, I mean, I don't think about identifying with a Golden Girl quite as much, just because it's not as right in front of me. I'm gonna hope that none of the four people to my right are gonna be like, oh no, huge Stan, absolute Stan energy. My gut tells me Dorothy. I don't know what the people every day tell me, but I would agree with that. I would see that.
We do stand you though.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean,
that's very sweet.
If there is one Golden Girl that Stan is most like, it has to be Dorothy, of course.
100%.
Yeah.
Well, you're the way that you all sort of take on the ladies is absolutely incredible. I've watched clips from the show. You're also great. Adam, your Rose, I don't think I've ever seen someone do a Rose Nyland as good as you. Rose is kind of a hard character to play, and yours is the best I've ever seen. I have to know how do you do Rose Nyland, and did you audition for this? Well, how did you prepare for it? Like, I need to get into your head.
So funny enough, we did do like an audition years ago. Vince had asked me. We worked together prior, and he asked me to read for the part. Actually, I was supposed to read for Sophia.
Oh.
And the day before, I believe, the director had asked me to put together a Rose impression, and I was like, cool.
Just like what happened with Rue and Betty.
Yeah.
With Jay Sandridge.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be Rose. They couldn't think of anybody or find anybody they thought would do it. And I was like, and for those reasons, I will not be doing it because I will never be able to do that. And I didn't want to embarrass myself. So I just kept saying no. And then we had to find somebody else.
So I think getting into the character was a lot of, just watching the show, watching Betty White in the background, her mannerisms. And then I think the hardest thing to put together is not only the accent, because the accent is very much serviced with like the pitch of the voice. And I have a man's voice. And
there was some hesitation there, but it's fine.
So I said I was from the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, and there is a very specific Uber accent that I think sort of bleeds over into Wisconsin and Minnesota. And Betty White, of course, doesn't do this full Minnesotan accent. She has her
it's subtle.
She has is subtle, but also she was. I had to do some research on Betty. She has this transatlantic accent that all those actors were trained with. So I was like, how do I use that to incorporate some sort of elevation? Because I am not Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
her.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm going to put on this transatlantic with a little Minnesota Lil in
Mm.
there to just sort of make it my own even a little bit.
Well, I mean, speaking of transatlantic accents, Ryan, Dorothy's, I mean, Dorothy's accent is, I don't know where it comes from. B. Arthur's accent. We don't know where. Literally on a recent episode, we did a whole bit where we just kept saying diaper, maestro. I mean, it's like it's not even a Katharine Hepburn-esque accent. I don't know where the hell she got it from, but we love that she got it. So, like, how did you find the voice for Dorothy, and can you give us your best? Rose, thanks for the lovely prayer.
Yeah, I think like to start with B. Arthur's, like, or specifically with a Dorothy impression, is to figure out what is it that everybody who loves this show loves the most about B. Arthur's voice, and where can you find that inside of your own impression. So, like, for me, the things that are immediately recognizable about what I love about B. Arthur in the show is the dryness of the voice, not just in humor, but like in texture, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also just like how perfectly engineered everything she does physically is for a sitcom. Everything that she has done, like everything, the way that her pauses, her subtle turns, the beats of stillness, that's all built in so well. And so when I found those things physically, the voice started to sort of naturally come. From that point on, it was a matter of like trying to track a little bit of the geography, right? You obviously have a New York influence there. You have an Italian influence there. And then you have B. Arthur's career sort of throughout coloring the rest of that voice. So for me, the big thing that helped me the most was finding moments of excitement in B. Arthur and fitting those in as much as I could.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, what was it? What you just told me what to say?
Thanks for the lovely prayer.
Oh yes, of course. Rose, thanks for the lovely prayer.
It's
good.
so good. So, Vince, I have to talk about your Blanche because, as everyone knows, Blanche Devereaux doesn't so much walk into a room as she sort of breezes in like the limbs of a wispy willow in Daddy's backyard.
Big Daddy.
How do you move like a Blanche Devereaux?
Yeah, I have said this before, and it's very gay, but for me, the final stage of me making a character, and I've done this other than Blanche, other things that I put is like the shoes. Like when I put my heels on, I can finally like become the character and stuff like that. And it is so funny, like during our meet and greets and stuff, these women will come up, they'll say, how do you walk in those things? And I'm like, very easily. What do you mean? I don't understand. You just put your shoes on and you keep walking. So the heels are such a big help for that. But I do like her little, like she minces sometimes where she puts her hands and stuff. Yeah, I just love wearing heels. It's so gay.
Well,
I love a good kitten heel on Blanche.
Well, there also is something too about Blanche's mules because she's not just wearing a kitten heel. They're like flip flops essentially that she's like walking around in. Which, as a drag queen too, I found that mules are the only things that I can actually walk in.
They're so much easier. It is
they're
so crazy.
So much easier.
I mean, I will say, because this is like a men in like a drag, for lack of a better term, the heels are amped up a little bit. I am running around in like 4.5-inch mules.
Yeah.
But that's because I can.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. I costume the show. We have so many vintage pieces. I like research the labels that they wore, and like we have as much authentic pieces as we can. And I saw those shoes, and I was like, yeah. Let's bump them up a little bit higher. Well, Christopher, I wanted to ask you. So, like, as Sophia, of course, you have your handbag with you at all times. So, what do you keep in your handbag?
And we'll know when they're lying.
It's like it gives a little bit away of like what's in our show, but there's a joint.
Okay.
There's a compact mirror. There's some money. There's Listerine breath spray. We love those here.
oh yeah, if Listerine is listening, we'd love a sponsorship.
Okay.
Listerine is very important to this process.
A lot of things make it into that purse.
Did a nectarine make it into the purse
Or
at
some
all?
dinnerware from the Maltese Falcon Club, perhaps?
Yeah.
It did get very heavy at one point, and I had to take some things out.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Well, I also want to add in, just because, I mean, earlier we talked about the fifth Golden Girl, and so we have to bring up Stan a little bit. Tommy, how I mean, and you play both Stan and Bert, right? Is that what you
Yes.
said? Yeah. So Bert, it's not hard to play Bert. Just, act like you're going to, just fuck someone. And that's playing Burt Reynolds. But
That's what I was told in rehearsals.
exactly. But
We have
like,
to start to leave.
how do you play, like, how do you approach playing Stan?
Okay, so I'm trying to think of the first times we like had to run kind of Stan things. I will say much like Vince was saying with the heels, the costume does help.
The belly really helps.
The belly does really help with Stan. They also have me starting in like a tracksuit and just being very comfortable to start the show while everyone else is doing 90 minutes of laborious makeup and costume work does really help me kind of both set myself apart from the world these are living in and feel very much like Stan.
Yeah.
I will be like, once you get the belly and the bald cap on and have spent enough time having to live with this mustache as I have, it does kind of slide on a little bit easier than I was expecting. And I will say the voice isn't terribly far off from the way I tend to talk a lot of the time.
You do like a little. Did you say you do like an augmented Bernie Sanders?
Well, no, yeah, that wasn't how I got into it, but I did realize after months of playing the character that I was essentially just doing Bernie Sanders on like Quaaludes, I think.
Oh.
It's just Bernie Sanders, but like slowed down.
Yeah.
Mellowed out a little bit, and then I was
That's
like,
so funny.
back into when I have to flip flop back and forth, so that's cool.
I love that. Well, I guess one of the things that I was thinking about, when Kerri and I were talking about this, that like, there are drag versions of doing Golden Girls all across the country in major cities. I mean, some big, some small, some local, some touring, whatever it is. Like there's a Golden Girls drag palooza happening in major cities across this country. Now you all tour with the show and you're very popular as a tour show. So like, do you ever go to a city where there's another Golden Girls troupe playing, and is there ever like a turf war, if you will? You know what I mean? Is there ever a battle?
We're in Chicago right now, which is the home of a wonderful troupe, Helena Handbag Productions, with David Serta, who I'm sure you've met at Golden Con and stuff. And they've been doing this for a very long time. And a friend of mine from Michigan plays the Blanche and stuff. And they're going to come and see the show. I mean, we always like to say that like the Golden Verse is huge and we're just so happy to be a part of it, that like we love all these other people. We'll get on social media all the time. Somebody's like, oh, I saw you in Timbuktu. And we're like, well, we haven't been there, but you probably saw somebody else support the Golden Girls. We love that. So we don't want to need turf wars. That's not what we're here for. Let us know that you do Golden Girls. We'll give you comps to our show. Come and see us. We love that.
That's great.
I always think that's such a wonderful thing about the Golden Girls fan community is it does spill out into live performances, even podcasts. We are friends with all the other Golden Girls podcasts. We do each other's podcasts. Everybody's here to just sort of elevate each other.
We were still the first.
Yes, we were still the first.
We were still the first. Thank you. Thank you.
There's a caveat. We've been doing it for 10 years. But it is really nice to see that even though technically we are, competing with each other, that there's still this air of just so supportive and lovely and wonderful, and that really does encapsulate what the Golden Girls is. Like, we're all family. That's what it is. And so we're glad that you guys have had that experience as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask something a little controversial to each of you. We're going to start with Ryan. If you could play any other girl on this show instead of the one that you're currently playing,
This is my Barbara Walters question.
this is my Barb's,
Oh.
and it can be a guest star too. Who else would you be dying to portray from the Golden Girls universe in a stage show?
If you say Barbara
Let's start with
Thorndike,
Ryan.
I swear as a Jew, if you say Barbara
That would be an
Thorndike,
amazing performance.
As a woman, if you say Jeremy,
I love a gray. Barbara Thorndike and I would get along very well. Oh God! Oh, this is such a good question. Here's like the thing about it. I would love to play Sophia. I would love nothing more at some
Christopher,
point.
look out.
Here's the thing. I'm 6'3". It's just simply not going to happen. But what I love the most about Sophia's energy is that it always feels like she comes in with the absolute hammer of humor. It is unquestionable. The joke is there. It lands, and people have this ability to be like, and that's Sophia. Give her her power. Give her her flowers. It's good to go. And I love seeing that kind of power, specifically in a comedy, because you always do need somebody who you can trust to have the button of the joke. And Sophia comes in every single time with that button, and it's just a great thing to have. So Barbara Thorndike first, Sophia second.
Adam, what about you?
I think I would play. Well, I would love to play. Like I was gonna say Sophia, but you said that. I think I would
Christopher,
play
look out.
Blanche. I think Blanche would be so fun. I like the way that she is like sort of in her own world, in a similar way that Rose is, but also like she's there to have a lot of fun, like a lot of sexy fun.
You do love sexy fun.
I do love sexy fun.
Who does love sexy fun?
And I think there's a freedom that comes with Blanche's character that I think is just so fun to watch. And I'm like a huge Planet Hand fan, and she does the part so freaking well. That one thing that she did in Nonsense.
We love nonsense.
We love
Really
nonsense.
love that. Sometimes we'll listen to it in the dressing room.
Yeah,
I love it.
as you
Like-
should.
It's like the fourth version of like the fourth sequel.
Yeah, it's not the first.
Like no, he has to like
They do Fiddler.
yeah, and he has to like get the recording off of like some weird ripping site or something.
Worth it. Totally worth it. Well, Vince, what about you?
I think that I would love to play Miles because like he's so. I like Miles because he's so earnest and he like loves Rose and
Well,
like.
Vince, I don't know.
Vince, come
Vince,
on.
we
Have you watched The Golden Palace?
We have a beef with Miles on this podcast. We are very much strictly anti. I mean, we
You can
support
be
your
Arnie.
journey. Yeah, you can be Arnie.
You can't be Miles.
I like that he's mysterious because I like to be mysterious.
By that, do you
Okay.
mean a pathological liar?
I mean,
He was
think
in the
about
witness
it.
protection. It's not even, his name is Nick Carbone.
He presented a daughter that may or may not be his.
Okay, that daughter thing is really weird. That is.
Who's Caroline? We had
Yeah,
her on
we-
our podcast. We asked her, we
did.
said, who do you think Caroline is? And she's like,
Oh,
I think that she's with the FBI, and I think she was
Yeah.
coming to tell him that he was blowing his cover.
uh-huh. Watch out for the cheese man.
That's the kind of character work that I like to see in this movie.
Yeah. Yes. I'm just saying. I mean, we're literally our podcast could give you different storylines for the play. I'm just saying we've had guests on that are coming up with ideas for their characters in the future.
I
So,
literally
you
wrote
know.
a Golden Girl spec called Dorothy Dates a Lesbian, and Marsha Posner Williams said she wouldn't have been able to tell the difference between that and a real Golden Girl spec. So there.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay, so Vince would play the villain, and Christopher.
Number one, if they would
Just
like
giving
to
you a hard time.
draw makeup on their face, have at it.
I won't.
Okay, but who would I play? I just picking out of us, I would have to say Blanche because I also enjoy walking in heels. And she has so many outfits. In the
Yeah.
show, I have like one pair of shoes. I need new shoes.
I do. I
Yeah.
do have 5 shoes that I wear.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, what about you, Tommy?
In this thought experiment, if I say George Clooney's character from that one episode, do I get to look like George Clooney?
I mean, you can live any this is drag, baby. You can live any fantasy you want to live.
We'll move forward then. I will. Okay, this is hard. I do have a lot of backstage costume change time to do impressions of all 4 of these people. Not their actual characters. I only do Ryan, Adam, Vincent, Christopher impressions in character.
Okay.
Amazing.
I love that.
It's tied to the work. I need to know how to sound.
Yeah, I know. I just want to see it at some
No,
point.
no, you're not getting that.
Well, one thing I am curious about is, I mean, because like as someone who does comedy but also does drag, like outside of this, did you guys do? I mean, I know you're actors, but did you do drag or what? Like how did you kind of get to this place and like what was the inspiration? Is drag an inspiration for how you approach your character?
I don't know about that. I mean, we all love drag. We support drag live, local, RuPaul's Drag Race. Like, we love all of that. And we, like, on the tour bus, we were dedicated to, like, watching this latest season and stuff. I personally have been doing, like, female impersonation for about 10 years. Like I was kind of cast as like Angel in Rent, and then I was like, oh, okay. And I kind of created a little bit of niche for myself. So I was doing a lot of that, Sorted Lives and different things like that. And that's how I kind of got into this position. But we're super careful with the word drag, because what we're doing, we're just reading a script, we're doing a character. And I think that drag queens and drag artists, like, who are just like these amazing, like, magical creatures, and we don't want to take away like what all the like super hard work that they do. We just come, somebody did our wigs for us, somebody showed us how to do our makeup, we read a script. That being said, I think that our love of drag and that community amps up our comedy and kind of takes us to a new place. So they are like symbiotic, but we like to say that we're just female impersonators, because drag is like a whole art form that we don't partake in.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what about anyone else? Is like, have you done drag in the past? Like, what is your connection to female impersonation?
I mean, my immediate connection is my way into this was through Charles Busch shows. I was a part of the regional theater scene where like Charles Busch was pretty steadily produced, and so you kind of work your way through that canon, and you start to see like, oh, okay, the ability to perform in a female impersonation isn't just like in a nightclub at 11 p.m. You can also find yourself inside of a larger narrative with room to play inside of this grander than life character. Yeah. And I think that's really the reference point that started to build my love of what kind of like what we do now is. And then from there, it was just a matter of like, well, who else is doing that? You know, like you have Taylor Mack, you have Cola Scola right now, who's doing Mary, like that kind of like level of camp that we can find that is still so approachable. I think like that's really where we find a love and an inspiration from.
Yeah, I played women in a couple different shows on and off, but because of my stature, I'm 5'5", and that's what I hold to. Yeah, sure. But I have played older people before. I play a lot of that character type, and it was it all kind of melded into all of a sudden being here and getting to play this amazing woman, and it's really fun.
Yeah, I think overall I would say like the blanket is theater has brought us to this place, and while drag exists outside of theater, it was kind of born in theater, so it's like this full circle moment. So yeah, it's super fun. We love it. Our faces, not so much.
Well, and also too, a lot of the people coming to the shows probably they're seeing it as a drag experience, a theater experience, because that's the connection people have to what you're doing.
For sure. And it's so cool because the Golden Girls is so absolutely beloved across generations and across, political divides or whatever. If the Golden Girls can be that spoonful of sugar that gets you to come and laugh at some drag queens, if that's how you have to look at it, then I'm 100% on board. And I think that the Golden Girls is a wonderful conduit to like bring people in to, that lifestyle.
Definitely. Well, and have you faced, like, as you tour, have you faced any sort of, because anytime a person who identifies as a man puts on a dress, if you go to some cities, they're not going to like it. I can tell you that from experience.
You're in Tennessee, you're in Alabama. Adam and I run the socials, so I don't know if you want to.
Well, yeah, a lot of the pushback, so to speak, is online, and those people, like, their bark, I guess, is worse than their bite, because they'll throw a big fit about it on our social media or what have you, but they're not going to come to the show. Yeah. And then there's a lot of people who bring their family and friends that have never seen a show before, and they'll come up to our meet and greets afterwards, and we get to learn about these people, and they're like, oh my God, that was so fun. I didn't know like what this was, and it exceeded our expectations. So there are people in those areas that don't get this and don't know that they like it until they see it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Like, we've been literally afraid sometimes. Like, we'll be in a meet and greet situation, we're standing on stage behind the couch, and I'll see some mean looking guy, and I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. And all of a sudden he comes up and he's like, oh, honey, I fucking loved you guys. And I'm like, what? And like, you just are so surprised. And I think it's the Golden Girls that can like bring people into that.
Yeah. And I think what's so great about a show like yours is that it allows, similarly to what the Golden Girls did for a lot of young queer kids, where they find a way to relate to these women in some way that they don't quite understand yet, but yet they know there's something there that they relate to, and of course they figure it out in years to come as they get older. It's the same thing with your show, in that like there is this sort of like, well, maybe I can use this as a cover since me and my mom like Golden Girls, so we can go see this live show, and then maybe 10 years from now she'll be like, oh, I should have known. You know what I mean? Like there
For sure.
there is that element there. So I think that, you know, it's kind of great that you guys can go to those cities and have those sometimes, yes, scary moments, but also do some really good for a lot of local queer kids who are probably kind of struggling, you know?
Absolutely. And I think what's great is the Golden Girls left us with amazing tools. We get our number one comment online is, oh, the girls are rolling on their graves and this is an absolute disgrace and they would have hated this. And then Adam and I have like links at the ready with that like displays all 4 of the women's incredible ties to the LGBTQ community and how they supported them in life and death and all that stuff. And it's
really?
like,
oh, really? And
really?
a lot of the time, we don't even have to do it. Other people
Yeah.
so
coming in.
Yeah.
And so we
Yeah.
have allies.
That's amazing. Well, where can people find tickets for your shows, where you're going to be, all of those things?
Yeah, so we are here in Chicago at the Broadway Playhouse. You can find all information about that at broadwayinchicago.com or at our website, goldengirlstour.com. We'll be here through June, and then we're taking July off because we are tired. And then in August, we're going to be in Cleveland at the Hannah Theater for 3 weeks. And then after that, we're going to be in Fort Lauderdale at the Amaturo for pretty much the entire month of September as well. And then more to come after that. But yeah, all the most up-to-date information is goldengirlstour.com or on any of our socials at Golden Girls Tour.
Well, and of course, we'll link to everybody in the show notes for this episode. So everyone listening or watching on YouTube, which we encourage because this is a fun one to watch on YouTube. They can go get the tickets there and stuff. Thank you all so much for doing this.
Thank you, Ryan and Vince and Adam and Christopher and Tommy. This was so lovely talking to all of you, and best of luck with the rest of the run of the show.
May we say stay golden or something? You know what I mean? Stay golden.
Stay golden.
Yeah.
Thank you for being.
And we are back with our golden takeaway, which is a nugget of truth or inspiration that you can apply to your life or perhaps the lives of our listeners. Kerri, what's your golden takeaway for this episode?
I feel so inspired by hearing and talking to these fabulous fellas from the Golden Girls tour on the Golden Girls The Laughs Continue show. I think my golden takeaway is that we need more. We need the Golden Girls is come and gone. We've seen the episodes a gajillion times. We've seen the Golden Palace a gajillion times. So anytime you get something new that is the Golden Girls, a new stage show, anything, I feel like Golden Girls fans love it because the people who are creating it successfully are really able to maintain the tone and the core of the show that we love so much. And I think that this is what, you know, Golden Girls The Laughs Continue is doing. So if you're a Golden Girls lover out there, like write some Golden Girls stuff, like read it with your friends.
Yeah.
Get together and do it and just make more Golden Girls stuff.
Do some fan fiction.
Make some fanfic. Let Blanche and Rose get together. You know what I
Don't
mean?
call
Just
it
for a
fanfic,
night.
though.
Okay.
That's not.
What should I call it?
Well, we just don't need to. Fiction does not need to be shortened. You know what I mean? Like interuterine should be shortened to like uterine. Like I think that's a good way to. But fiction, that's already a short word. You know.
But isn't that the slang? It's like called fanfic, right?
Oh, I don't even know. I just think it's wrong.
Okay, I apologize. Fan fiction. What's your golden takeaway? I'm just gonna slink back into my chair now and feel like an asshole.
I'm just dropping the opinions. No, my golden takeaway for this episode is I'm inspired by The Laughs Continue to also have a show for Sadie Pines that is in the vein of The Laughs Continue, or implies that there is some ridiculous thing that needs to keep going. So like, I would do like Sadie Pines, Calories Don't Count, or Sadie Pines, I never knew, but I know now. Like something
Yeah.
that evokes, a reaction that you're like, where is she gonna go with this? What's she gonna
Sadie Pines, better late than ...
There's a great performer, also another one that I want to throw out here that I've been meaning to text her about doing the podcast and I just haven't done it yet. And her name's Broadway Barbara. Do you know Broadway Barbara?
I don't think so.
Google her because she is something else, and she does a form of drag, if you will, where it's this. So Broadway Barbara, I'm going to read exactly because I don't want to screw it up, is a legend of the stage and screen. Catch her uniquely hilarious cabaret live or follow along on her social media. So she is this older woman, very much Debbie Reynolds style, but obviously played by someone our age. And she wears this wig that is like backwards, a gray wig. And she's just like, wait, look her up on social media, on Instagram.
Okay,
and you will be so thankful that this has come into your life, because she is very much the laughs continue vibe. And
cool.
It is, she's done our podcast, You're Making It Worse, and I recently was like, oh, you have to do the Golden Girls podcast. So hopefully she will, as Barbara, because I feel like Broadway Barbara worked with B. Arthur at some point. I feel like there is a connection to Broadway Barbara and B. Arthur. I don't know what it is, but it's there, and I know
I love that. All right, I'll look her up.
That's my golden takeaways, I should say.
Oh, well, those are lovely takeaways. And
thanks for the lovely takeaways.
There you go. You can just do that and be like, no, I did that on purpose because I was making it my own. So that's how you get away with it without
yelling at me,
dragging you in the comment section. Well, everyone, this has been another episode of Out on the Lanai. We hope you enjoyed our conversation with the cast of Golden Girls. The laughs continue. Remember, you can check out our Patreon, the GGVIP Club, at patreon.com/Golden Girls Podcast. You get weekly bonus episodes every week. You get a Rusty Anchor happy hour. We do interviews with cast members. You get just so much great stuff. So you can check it out there. And if you want, you can also head on over to wherever you get this podcast and leave us a nice rating and review.
You can also watch us on YouTube and see me posing right now as Kerri spoke so eloquently. We're also a part of Moguls of Media, so go subscribe to Mom Plus and all the fantastic things that mommies are doing. You can go to the little birdie app and you can follow us at the Golden Girls Pod over there on the Chirp Chirp. If you want to find us on Le Gram, that's what they say in France, you can go to Out on the Lanai Official. If you want to find us on the Buch in Germany, that's that they say it there, it's Golden Girls Pod. And I am Sadie Pines / HAlanScott on most things.
I would say most things. I'm Squidzy on Instagram, Squid Eat Squid on Twitter. No TikTokies for me.
I got the TikToks.
I don't. That's it. That's all I got. Should we do our thing?
Yeah, we should. Guys, remember. Well, also, Kerri, you forgot to say that people should go leave a little rating and review. Let me read it like you do.
No, I did. I said it before. I said it before. I just rearranged things.
Wow, I'm so out of place. The script is all over. I go by the script, and now the script is going backfiring on me. Oh my God! And remember,
as always,
stay golden.
Stay golden. Take a breath. Take a one.
But not into the mic.
There you go. No more breath gates. I can't. Out on the Lanai is not endorsed by Whit Thomas Harris Productions, Touchstone Television, Disney, or any of its subsidiaries. It is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only.
All names, pictures, audio, and video clips of the Golden Girls are registered trademarks and/or copyrights of their respective trademark and/or copyright holders.